in some previous classes, I talked about that what is the stress in English language in India, sorry, in the regional languages in India and English language throughout the world. So I mentioned an example that is in the Hindi language, there is a word called mantri, M-A-N-T-R-I. Mantri means minister. Okay. Now see here in this word mantri, there are two syllables. Why? Because syllables are that part of a word which can be pronounced within a single flow of air. Okay, we talked about air-stem mechanism. How do we use our air-stem mechanism to pronounce the consonants and vowels? So here, how much of a word can be pronounced at a time, keeping the air inside or blowing the air outside. So if you are able to pronounce a particular part of a word at a time, that is what is called syllable. That is also dependent upon the vowel sounds. If a word has one vowel sound, that is monosyllabic. If a word has two vowel sounds, okay, that could have disyllabic, di means two, okay, and if it has more than two or three, it called polysyllabic or trisyllabic, okay, trisyllabic and polysyllabic. Polysyllabic means there are multiple vowel sounds and multiple syllables, and if it has more than three syllables, it called polysyllabic. If it has three syllables, it called a trisyllabic. Now, in order to understand this, as I'm not going to use, and I want you to be cooperative, and I want you to be interactive in this class. So what you have to do is that please turn on the pages from your book, unit number 9. Okay, unit number 9. Please turn on the pages so that you can see the examples. Okay, I'm going to use the book today completely throughout the class. But yes, if you want the PPT, okay, I don't know when your final exam will be conducted. Your assignments has already been given. So if you need the PPT of my entire classes, all the units, all the 20 units, I will share it once my class will be over. Maybe it will be on 21st of May. So I will share it. You can collect it from your HOD. Okay. So till now, but for today, I'm going to do For today, I'm going to use the book particularly, okay, instead of showing the PPT, because you are not quite respondent throughout the classes. Yes, syllable can be, described as a unit of pronunciation. As a unit of pronunciation, it's not a unit of pronunciation, but it's a part. You can say that it's a constituent part of a word that can be pronounced at a single time. You may keep your breath inside or outside, okay? For example, if you will pronounce a word like congratulation, now see here, you cannot pronounce congratu once at a time. You have to divide this into 5 syllables like congratulation. Isn't that? So this is how we divide the syllables. So have you turned on the page number 108 of unit number 9?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there is 9.2 is a point that the syllable. Okay, there are some on a bold letters over here that monosyllabic is there, disyllabic, trisyllabic, and polysyllabic. So that's what I actually talking about. That if a particular word has one syllable, that is called monosyllabic, and this particular syllable, in most of the cases, never get accented. Means we do not put extra forces to pronounce this particular one syllabic or monosyllabic words. Okay. We will talk about that. What is accent? What is stress? How do we put accent or a stress on a particular syllable? We will also talk about that in the later pages. So I hope that you have understood what is syllable. Okay, there are 3 kinds of syllable, but there are more types of syllables as well. So the ultimate form is kind of, you can say that, a writing forms. Okay, There could be a paragraph, there could be a book, there could be a novel. But how do these things actually become a novel, become a work of art? First of all, there are so many things to understand. One thing is that the letters. Each and every language have their alphabetical letters or alphabets. So all these alphabets actually form a particular kind of word. Now these words, if you will understand these words, you can understand them is simply as a general words, or you can understand the linguistic aspects of that particular word. If you are going to understand the linguistic aspect, we have to understand what is syllable, what is sound. Okay. Now, each of these words are made of syllables. Then, when two syllables or three syllables will be put together, they give a particular sound as well. Okay, as we already talked about that, there are 44 sounds. All these sounds also are put together to give a meaningful word, to create a meaningful word, isn't that? And syllable and sound has a, you can say that, a great conjugal relationship. When the syllables are put together, they form a word in written form. But when you want to pronounce that, when you are going to use that in your speech, you are supposed to divide that based on your sounds. If you are not able, okay, if you are not able to find out the sounds properly, you will not be able to give the proper accent upon a word. You can use the words barely or in a single handed, not in a paragraph, but in isolation. Okay, so you can use the words isolation. Okay, but when you are going to use the words in a particular paragraph or a speech, at that time you have to focus on stresses, because in Indian languages there is no such particular rules. Generally we use as we have understood since our childhood. We haven't learned about any phonetical phonetical aspects about any particular language of Indian culture. But according to the philologist, according to the linguistics, English has some fixed, accentual style, and it has some particular stresses that should be put on a particular word in a given situation. It may be in isolation and it may be in a sentence. Okay. So hope you have understood what is syllable. You got it? Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Now let's go to word accent. Now, what is accent? Accent is nothing but a relative prominence, okay, relative degree of prominence to give a particular word, okay, in some cases, okay. But as for example, take something like some classes, or sometimes okay, people used to speak to a particular person or to someone else maybe. But when someone is trying to speak in a very equal tone, a very similar tone all the time, that will become very monotonous. That kind of speech will become very irritating. Suppose you are attending a class or a seminar and you are sitting there for 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, and that person who has come here to deliver a speech, and he is speaking thoroughly in a very monotonous tone. So what you will do is that you will become very faded away. Okay, you will become irritated listening that particular person. Okay, so that's why accent is very important while speaking. Okay, here when you will use your accents, you will give particular stresses to a word. You will change your pitch, you will change your voice, you will change your intonation as well. Okay, so that's why stresses are very important while speaking. So that is the very clear difference, because when we speak in English language, we do not follow 100% rules of English grammar, English intonation, English accent. Okay. But if we were going to talk about the native speakers, they use their language as it should be used. Okay. So there are some words which should be accented, but not the entire word should be accented. In a word, there could be some particular syllable. Okay, as I already mentioned that there could be monosyllabic words like one, O-N-E. One is a monosyllabic word because you cannot divide it into two syllables. Okay, because you can pronounce it within one go, isn't that? One, two, all these things are monosyllabic. So here, monosyllabic words are sometimes not accented in most of the cases. But the words, if you will see that there are 8 parts of a speech. The content words, there are 2 types of words. One is content words and functional words. Okay. In English language, there are content words. Content word means nouns, adjectives, okay, adverbs, compounds, all these things are content words. When you will have content words, you have to put stresses on a particular word on a fixed position. But when you have functional words in a sentence, at the time you can use stresses on them, but when you are using them in isolation, you do not put stress or accent upon that particular words. Okay, is it clear? That's why I gave you an example. Okay, the example was that in Hindi we have mantri. So mantri has 2 syllables, but we do not ever say that okay, it's mantri, okay, or mantri. We do not give extra. Okay, so we do not give extra forces or we do not stress that particular words in our languages. But in English, if you will say minister, M-I-N-I-S-T-E-R, okay. Now this particular word has 3 syllables, mi-nis-ta. Now here you have to put a particular stress in a particular syllable. There are 3 syllables here. You have to put your stress in the second syllable, that is minister, okay, minister. So here, when you will put stresses on particular words in a given language, especially in English, that will become very charming. That will become very tunic. Okay, there will be a melodious sounds. Okay, so that will not become boring. That will not become very tedious. Okay, so that's how accent actually help us to make a speech very rhythmic. Okay, and the length and quality, the pitch change, the grammatical functions, the content words, and all these things have certain importance while putting these particular stresses on a given word. I hope that you have understood what is word accent. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is that you please turn on page number 109 and read degrees of word accent, only this portion. Okay, there is 2 paragraph only. You have to read it and you have to tell me what does it means, degrees of word is accent. Okay, you have 5 to 7 minutes. Okay, within these 7 minutes you have to start, you have to finish this. Okay, there are only 2 paragraphs. It will take hardly 3 minutes. I'm asking you to all of you. Okay. Yes, Manjusa, you raised your hand.
Degrees of word accent.
I
We
didn't
said
get you.
earlier that in a polysyllabic word,
Yes, yes.
we said earlier that in a polysyllabic word, one of the syllables receives greater prominence than others. However, in several polysyllabic English words, more than one syllable is accented or prominent.
Yes.
For example, the English word education has
Mm,
the highest degree of prominence on the third syllable. The
yeah,
first
that's right.
syllable receives the next degree of the accent.
Yes, obviously.
Next in line are the second and the last syllable respectively. In practice, only
Yes,
two degrees of accent are recognized since it serves no purpose to go beyond the second degree.
okay.
So the word education has two prominent syllables.
Yeah. So, do you have
Since
any
the highest
query?
degree of accent,
So are you reading the passage? Are you reading from the book?
yes, sir, actually, just I understand, just in the education,
Mm,
we are stressing on the third syllable. The prominence is given to the third syllable.
yes. So the thing over here is that there is a degree of word accent as well. Okay. Maybe in a word there is one syllable, there may be two syllables, three syllables, four syllables, five syllables. And if there is only one syllable monosyllabic, it sometimes, in most of the cases, it never accented. Okay. When it is in isolation. But when it is in poetry, when it is in a sentence, and we have to put some uh, scansion, or you can say like prosodic scansion, at the time we put some stresses on particular monosyllabic word. But when word has more than two syllables or three syllables, at the time we have to see the degree of prominence. If a word has three syllables, there would be three types of accent. It could have two accent in that particular word, or it could have only one accent. The one accent will be the primary accent, another one will be the secondary accent. The primary accent will be the main accent, or the highest point of accent. Okay, as you have already mentioned in the word education, isn't that? Yes, Manjusa?
Sir,
Yes,
in education, the third syllable carries the primary accent.
obviously,
The first
yes.
syllable carries the secondary accent, sir.
Yes, yes, you are right. Okay. So that's what I wanted you to learn, because when you will learn, you will get the proper idea. When I use the PPT, what you simply do is that you just listen to me and see the PPTs, whatever is written over there. But when you will go through the book yourself, you will have a very great idea about that. That's why I'm going to use this in this class. Later on, I will use again PPT. Okay. Now let's see degrees. We have talked about degrees of accent. Now see, how do we have to place this particular accent? Okay, how do we have to mark a word and accent it? Okay, okay. Let's see. When we mark a particular word or the syllable within a word as accented, we put a vertical bar above that particular uh, syllable. And one thing that we have to keep in mind, that whenever we put this, vertical bar mark upon a syllable, that syllable has to have a vowel sound within that. Okay. If it doesn't have a vowel sound, it cannot be accented. So we have to keep it in mind, like in education. Okay. In education, if the third sentence, sorry, uh, third syllable has the highest degree of action, so it has a vowel sound with it, obviously. So where there will be the vowel sound, we have to put the vertical one. Sometimes we put the vertical one because when there is the highest point of degree of prominence, we put the vertical one in the above of that particular syllable. But sometimes we put it in below of that particular syllable when it is of lowest degree of prominence. Okay, to just separate these accent or stresses of a particular word. There is no other such rules of placing them. Now, there are several types of words. including monosyllabic, disyllabic, trisyllabic. Okay, sometimes it has polysyllabic. Polysyllabic means it could be more than 3 syllables. Okay, now see here in page number 1110, there are certain examples has been given over here. Accent on first syllable. Okay, accent on first syllable. If there is a word which has 2 syllables or 3 syllables, but when the accent is placed on in the first syllable, how it looks like. Okay, how do we have to pronounce it? Like see here, accent on the first syllable. There are some examples over here. Okay, now 3 examples are given over here. One is doctor. Okay, another one is wisdom and advertise. Okay, so here the words has also been given and the phonetic transcription has also been given and the accented marks has been put here like a vertical bar. Okay, can you see it in your book? So when a particular syllable has been accented, that highest degree of prominence in a particular syllable, we have to pronounce it giving certain extra forces, extra pressure on that particular syllable. Okay, as for example here it is doctor, doctor, but if we simply say it doctor instead of pronunciating it, giving any pressure, giving any uh, stress on a particular syllable, but the actual word and its pronunciation would be like doctor. Okay, doctor. So the first syllable will be here accented. Okay, now see the next is that accent on the second syllable. When we have to put accent on the second syllable, it will also have its own prominence. Okay, now for example, become, it's a word become. We simply say become, but the actual pronunciation will be like become. Okay, become. So here second syllable will be accented like below, below. We do not have to give a stress on the first syllable, that is b and b in both these words. Herself, sometimes we say myself. We give sometimes we importance in the first syllable, myself, herself. Okay, but the next syllable, that is the second syllable, will be accented over here. Can you read the next 3 examples accented on third syllable, fourth and fifth syllable as it is mentioned over here with the phonetic transcription?
Accent on the third syllable.
Yes.
Application, disappointment, understand.
No,
Accent on the
using the accent as well. Can you pronounce them correctly? Once again,
application.
application. Okay.
Application.
Yes, application. It is in the third syllable.
Third.
Yes. Okay.
Disappointment.
Yeah.
Disappointment.
Yes, that's right.
Understand.
Yeah, understand. Yeah.
Understand.
Okay.
Accent on the fourth syllable.
Yeah.
Academician.
Academy.
Academician.
Academician. Okay.
Academician.
Okay.
Inferiority.
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 Okay.
Responsibility.
Responsibility. Okay. Yeah. Now the last syllable here, it
accent
has
on the last syllable. Payee.
Yeah.
Engineer.
Yeah.
Guarantee.
Guarantee. Yes. Very good. So okay, you have to see how what. So when you will sometimes we do not find the meaning of a particular word. Sometimes we know about a word about which we have never ever heard before, but when we will try to look out or find out the meaning of that particular in dictionary, along with the meaning, what we have to say that along with the meaning we have to see the phonetic transcription as well, so that we can pronounce that word in a proper way, giving proper accent on that word. Okay, now these accents have some functions as well. Okay, now functions of word accent. Now see, there are 8 parts of speech, isn't that? There are 8 parts of speech, and if these words are used as nouns and adjectives, okay, the accent is on the first syllable, and if it is used as a verb, the accent will be in the second syllable. This is a particular rule. Okay, in functions there are some certain rules when the accented words used in a particular function, in a proper function. So if the words are using as a nouns or adjectives, the accent will be in the first syllable, and if they are actually being used as a verb, they will be in the second syllable. As for example, here some examples are given in page number 112. Okay, see here the words has been given nouns and adjectives and verbs. Okay, it has been divided, categorized as nouns and adjective and verb, and the phonetic transcription has also been given. So can you read only one, just read only one example over here? The rest of them I will clarify you. Okay,
Absent.
yeah, absent. Yeah, the first syllable is being accented over here.
Conduct.
No, absent has two things. Okay, accent is being used as a noun or adjective and as a verb. So it has two pronunciation. In the first case, it has first syllable.
Absent. Absent is the second.
Yes, absent.
Adjective.
Yeah, absent.
Absent.
Yeah. Where there is
Conduct.
yeah.
Conduct.
Yeah, that's very good. Okay.
Contrast. Contrast.
Yeah, contrast. Contrast.
Contrast. Desert. Desert. Object. Object.
Yes, very good. Okay, sometimes now, see what is compounds? Can you tell me? Compounds are actually when two root words will be put together to make a new word. That is what is called compounds. As for example, class is a noun, isn't that? CLASS, class. In which class you are reading? If suppose someone is asking. So that class is a noun, and room is also a noun. Okay, ROOM. Now, when you will put these two root words together, they will become a particular noun as well. Classroom, isn't that? So these compounds and noun phrases has also several kind of accents. Okay, here are some compounds and noun phrases has been given. When we will have noun phrases, we will have to put accent in the first syllable in both these two words separately. But when it will become a compound, we have only one accent in the first syllable. See here, like blackbird. Okay, but in noun phrase, we have to put two stresses in the first syllable and the both these words, black bird. Okay, so likewise, crossword. Yeah, cross word. So similarly, there are so many examples over here. And there are some morphological structure as well, but I do not want to discuss it over here because we have another chapter where we will discuss about morphology. Okay, so before understanding morphology, I'm not going to discuss it over here. You can just go through over it. Okay, the next one is regularities of word accent. This is very simple and very easy. Okay, now there are so many things to make a word. We have talked about how the English vocabulary has been enriched. Okay, there are so many influences, Latin influences, Greek influences, then we have Scandinavian influences, we have French influences. So many influences were there, and that's how the English language, which doesn't have even 5,000 words at all in the beginning, okay, now it has 1 million words. How do actually this language has enriched so much in a just 2,000 years, other than all other old languages? So we have talked about that in our previous units, and we also talked about that how the words actually being formed using some prefixes, taking some root words, military words. Okay, suffixes are also there, compounds are also there. So when we form words using all these things, there are particular rules of placing the accent. Okay, now as I told you to read about the degrees of word accent, So there are 3 degrees of word accent. One is called the ultimate syllable. Okay. One is called the syllable is called the ultimate syllable. Another second last syllable is called the penultimate syllable, and the third last syllable is called anti-penultimate syllable. Okay, you can find it in page number 113. There is regularities of word accent. Okay, it is clearly mentioned over there. Okay, if a particular word has 3 syllables, then we have to count the syllables from the last to the first. Okay, so the third last syllable is called the ultimate syllable. The second last syllable is called the penultimate syllable, and the first syllable, okay, the third last syllable is called the anti-penultimate syllable. Okay, now there are 7 or 8 rules obviously regarding all these things. Hopefully there are 6 rules. The first rule is talking about words with weak prefixes. Okay, take the accent on the root. Now if a word has prefixes at the beginning of a word, there could be some root words. As for example, happy is a word. Okay, happy is a word that is a root word. You can make other words from this particular word using affixes and prefixes. If you will use un at the beginning, it will become a prefix. So unhappy. So here you can make a word, another word from a root word, unhappy. You can also make happiness. You can also make happily. Okay, so these things also matter at all. Okay, so when we have certain prefixes in a particular word, we have to put that on the root of that particular word. So as for example, here given some examples: alone, okay, around, below, become, remind, okay, remind, release. Okay, so this is how we have to do this. Can you read the rules one after another? Rule number second.
The inflectional suffixes ed, es, ing do not affect the accent. For example, box, boxes. Even though the suffix is added, ex is added, the sound is not, accent is not changing there. Box,
Yes.
boxes. Disease, diseases.
But one thing that the pronunciation of box and boxes, when you will use es, here you have to pronounce it like is. Okay, boxes, not boxes. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Boxes,
Boxes.
disease,
Boxes.
boxes,
Yeah.
boxes,
Yeah.
disease, diseases,
Yeah.
guide, guided,
Yes.
relate, related, light, lightning, lighting,
Okay.
reason, reasoning.
Yeah. Okay. There
Coming
is,
to the third rule,
yeah.
the derivational suffixes that age, en, ess, ful, hod, ice, and ish, etc.
Derivation.
Do not affect
Yes.
the accent. The accent will not be, there will not be any effect in the accent. When age, ess, ful, and hod, ish, less are there.
Okay.
Like wreck, wreckage, marry, marriage, bright, brighten, light, lighten, actor, actress, tiger, tigress, beauty, beautiful,
Yeah.
duty,
So
dutiful.
read only five words only. Okay, 5 words.
Okay.
You do not have to read all of them.
Yeah. Coming to the fourth rule.
Yeah.
The words ending with IC, ICAL, and ICALLY, etc. Apologetic, apologetic, pathetic, pathetic, biological, electrical, chemically, economically, commercial. Coming to the rule 5, words ending with ION suffix, admiration, decoration, combination. Words ending with ITY, ability, electricity.
No, but you are not reading the rule as well. Okay, words ending in ion suffix have two primary accent on the penultimate syllable. Now, what is
Yes, sir.
penultimate syllable? Penultimate syllable is the second last syllable. Okay, that is also very important. So you have to
Second
give
lesson.
your you have to give your
Yes.
stress on the second last syllable. Okay.
Yes, yes, sir. And coming to the rule 6, it suffix
Yeah.
have the primary accent on the anti-penultimate syllable. For
Yes.
example, ability,
Yes.
electricity,
Yes.
and
Capacity. Yeah.
capacity.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for your cooperation. Now the next thing is that accent and rhythm in connected speech. Okay. Now we have talked about words in isolation. We do not put them in a particular word, in a particular sentence or in a paragraph. So the words that you have pronounced it here using that particular rules, that when some words ends with some prefixes, begins with some prefixes, there are some particular system is over there that okay, we have to put the stresses in the second syllable, in the first syllable and all that. But when these words will be put together in a particular sentence, how do we have to use that particular stresses? Is there any other rules or will have any kind of changes? No, there is no such change at all. In sentences, when we will use these particular words in sentences, there will be no change. But the thing is that when there is only a monosyllable, we have to keep one thing in mind. There are 8 parts of speeches and we cannot stress all the parts of speeches in a sentence. Okay, like the functional words. Functional words are what? Am, is, are, was, were. Isn't that? Like s, es. Sometimes we make a verb forms. Suppose if there is a third person singular, then we have to add s or es in present indefinite tense with the verb. So when in such cases we cannot stress them. So in such cases, what we have to do is that we have to stress the root words only, like the nouns, okay, the adjectives, the verbs, the adverbs, and the compounds. So that will be also the rule. And one important thing is that when we are pronunciating and giving particular stress on a given word, given syllable, that will not be changed in a sentence. As we are giving the stress in a syllable in a single or isolated word, we also have to put that stress in a given sentence. Okay. As for example, here are some examples has been given like meet me at 10. Okay. Meet me at 10. See here, meet is a verb. Okay. Now me is a pronoun again. At is an article. Okay, at is an article. So see here, and 10 is a noun. Okay. So here the verb and the noun has been accented. Okay. Whereas there are 2 other syllables over there, but they has not been accented. So it also depends upon the pitch, the tone and tonality. Okay, the intonation is also important over here. And we are going to talk about it in the next unit, that is about intonation. Okay, so we do not have to be worried about all these things. Okay, now uh, there are certain words, okay, which are called weak forms of words. Weak forms of words means, okay, when a word, behaves like more than one words. Okay, when a word performs more than one words. Okay, at that time that is called weak forms. Maybe sometimes a word can have the performance of a noun, sometimes it may perform like a verb. Okay, now when this kind of performance will be performed by a particular word, that will become a weak form, and that weak form has certain kind of difference, okay, of action. Okay, if you will go to the page number 116 at the end, there are some examples are given here. Okay, like word has been given, strong form has been given, and weak form has been given. Okay, so you can read it from here, and these are all a and the. Then we have are, can, and all these functional words has been given here, and there are 2 types of examples has been, 2 types of pronunciation with 2 different accent has been given over here. Okay, so this is all about accent, and this is a very simple topic to understand, but more difficult to put extra forces on a suitable syllable if you are not able to pronounce, if you are not able to understand the consonant sounds, the vowel sounds, if you are not able to separate the syllables properly, you are not going to put your stress on a proper syllable. So it's not very easy, but at the beginning level, it is very easy to understand that how we have to put the stresses on a particular syllable. At the beginning or in the end of the book, it has been written that, okay, this book has been written not to make you a phonetician, but to give you an overview of the phonetical study, okay, of the study of English linguistics and English language. So you're not going to become a phonetician. These are the things that has been given here in a very basic way. Okay, you just have to go through through them and get an overview of the ideas. You got it? Now the next topic, or the next unit is intonation in English language. Can anyone of you tell me what is intonation? Yes, Miss Purnima, can you tell me what is intonation?
Intonation may be called as a language with some interrogations.
No. Okay, let me tell you what is intonation. Okay. Now,
Sir, while we are talking, we raise at some word and we follow voice at some word. Maybe
okay,
the raise and fall of voice in a speaking is called intonation.
yes, very good. Okay, so never mind. Okay, because if you haven't read that, it doesn't matter that, okay, you will get to know all these things. So we are here to learn what is intonation. Okay. Now see, can you differentiate between the voice of a male and a female? There is so many difference. Okay, because my voice is very, you can say rough, isn't that? But a girl's voice is very sweet, melodious. So what is the cause of this thinness and thickness of voice between male and female? It
Pitch.
is,
It is a pitch.
yeah, it is all because of the pitch as well as the frequency as well as the vibration. We have already talked about the vocal cord in our earlier units, isn't that? There we have talked about how the organs of speech do their function to pronounce, do their functions to articulate some particular sounds. So there is a vocal cord, and this is what is called the Adam's apple or vocal cord. And if you are pronunciating particular word, and if you put your finger over here, you will get to know that, okay, some continuous vibration is going on. Okay, some continuous vibration is going on. Now, in case of an adult male, this vibration limits from 8 to 120 per second. Okay, and in case of an adult female, it will be like 150 to 200 times. And this is all because of this vibration or these frequencies that our sounds differs from each other. You got it? Now intonation, what is intonation? Now, this is what is the changes of pitches. Okay, when sometimes our voice gets more vibration and it becomes more louder, sometimes it become lower. Okay, I will give you some examples in a very good way when we will talk about the types of intonation. Okay, so this is what is intonation. It's very simple. Okay, when there will be
So what
vibration.
is the difference when the female voice is in angry mood and in a cool mind, like sweet voice is coming when her mind is good? When angry mood, her speech changes. So what will be the frequency?
Frequency may be differed at the time when you are giving extra forces to speak something up, and your vocalix is not have that capacity to bear that pain or bear that stress, it becomes wide apart. Okay, there is a called glottis. There is a organ called glottis. When it looks like this. Okay, when it opens up, the sounds or the air passes very easily. But when something or some kind of stresses will be there, it will touch together and there will be narrow passages. Okay. If there will be narrow passages, it will touch with each other and there will be some rough voices. And the frequency will be limited, like, you can say male. Okay. So this is what happens when in the Adam's apple. You can read that in this book as well. It is mentioned somewhere. Okay. It is mentioned somewhere. Maybe in the page number 120. In 120, it is mentioned there. Okay. The Manjusa said that, okay, the pitch variation, okay, the pitch variation is what called the intonation. Okay. So first of all, what we have, the entire process is called intonation. First of all, to produce particular sound, okay, to produce particular voice, what is happening is that the airstream mechanism and the speech of organs are working particular tasks and they produce particular voice, isn't that? And in that voices there is certain kind of vibration, which, and this determines by the pitch variation. Pitch variation means high and low variation, and all the system is happening through the vocal cords, and the more rapid will be the vocal cords vibrate, the higher will be the pitch. Okay. So these pitches are very important when singing, when doing some melodious things. Okay. So I hope that you must have, listen some musics, and you could also have your own hobby to sing. Okay. So in that you will find that how pitches varies from one word or one syllable to another. Okay, so this complete process is what is called intonation, and there are several type of intonation. We will talk about them later. But before that, what we have to understand the form of intonation, we have to understand three things. One is the tone groups, another one is the tonic syllable, and the third one is that nuclear tone. So what I want you to is that just read point number 10 to 1. Okay. 10.2.1 tone group. Okay. Read about what is tone group and let me know. Read the first paragraph only. Okay. First paragraph up to example number 10. Okay. Read only this one and let me know what is tone group actually. In page number 121. Have you find it? Just Yes. Have you gone through it? Miss Jinath?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Have you gone through the first paragraph of page number 121 in the tone group? The subtitle is called tone group. Have you gone through it?
Sir.
What have you understood? What is tone group?
While we talking, we take a pause between the words. That is called tone group, I think, sir.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to add something?
Whenever we utter something, we take a pause in our communication.
Yes.
So that pause is called as a tone group.
Yes. So in utterances, okay, whatever we utter through our mouth, you can simply say this as a tone group or a stage of taking breath or breath group, okay? Or you can also call it as a sense group because we pause only because to take breath, isn't that? We give this pause to take air inside our lungs. Otherwise, what would happen, you know better, okay? So sometimes there are utterances which are too big and which actually have certain articulation system, and for that what we have to do is that some punctuation marks has already been given. If it is in a written form, the punctuation marks will already have separated them, already have divided them in different tone groups. But while speaking, what we have to do is that we have to do it at our own. But in speaking, we do not use punctuation marks, okay, like full stop, comma, semicolon. We do not use that. So our pauses will decide whether it is an exclamatory sentence, where to, where to stop, where to proceed, okay, where to take some rest. So this is how we actually show that the work of punctuation has been given through our pauses. The pauses actually give us certain kind of ways to separate particular utterances from one another. Okay. Now see the examples over here. Some utterances or some sentences have only one word. As for example, if you will have some WH questions where there will be some yes no answers. So in such cases, okay, not WH questions. If there is yes no questions, there will be the answers as yes and no. So in such cases, you have only one word, and that particular word could not have any kind of you know you cannot take any pause in pronunciating what is yes. Okay, so in the first five sentences over here given over here, there is no kind of pause. Okay, we do not have to take any pause because we can pronounce them, we can articulate them in a one go. Okay, as for example, you read over here that I'm going, I'll come tomorrow, I'm going to buy a car. Okay, I wish I were the president of India, though I don't want to be. Okay, though I don't want to be, but here I can, you know, I can easily, utter these, phrases or the sentences in one go. Okay, in a one go. But if you will have to say the sixth sentence that when you go out, there is obviously a punctuation mark that actually separated from one utterance to another. Shut the door. Okay, the spelling is wrong over here. Shut the door is here. So shut the door will be okay. If it rains, stay back at the school. Okay. So there are certain pauses. If the sentence will be bigger and bigger and bigger, there will be so many pauses. There will be so many tone groups. These tone groups also help us to understand, understand so many things, whether the sentences are a statement, whether the sentences are questions, whether they are assertive, interrogative, negative, affirmative. So many things can be understood through these tone groups. I hope that you have understood what is tone groups. Okay. Now the next one is tonic syllable. Now this is quite related to one thing, that is accent. Okay, when we are going to talk about tonic syllable and the neutral or nuclear tone, it is completely dependent upon accent. Okay, or related to accent. So can you again go through the tonic syllable and nuclear tone. Both of them are quite similar. Can you go through it? If you will read the first paragraph in both these cases, you will get to know. Okay, you do not have to go through all this. There are so many examples given over here. So just go through tonic syllable paragraph 1 and the nuclear tone paragraph 1. Okay, then we will talk about the functions of uh, uh, intonation. Okay, what are the functions that they do? There are three functions: grammatical functions, okay, attitudinal and accentual functions. We will talk about that, but before that, what we have to do is that you go through the nuclear tone and what is the tonic syllable. Okay, you have 5 minutes. Just go through it. Okay. Yes, have you gone through it? Yes, Purnima, can you tell me what is
Sir,
tonic
as we have
syllable?
already understood that utterances is divided into tonic groups. So
Yes,
whatever the tonic syllables, the syllable which we are, there will be a content, there will be some content words in the syllable, tonic syllable. So anyway,
okay,
content syllables must have received the accent.
okay, that's very good. Now, and what is uh, sorry, nuclear tone?
Nuclear tone is again once again the variation in the pitch of the voice actually, as we
Yes,
have learned that intonation is a variation of pitch in of
pitches.
the
Mm,
voice. Okay,
mm,
so
yeah,
we will be having the tonic syllable will be placed, and whenever the utterances is in the without any change in the pitch, we call it as a level tone. When there is a change in the pitch, we call it as a kinetic tone.
yes,
So pitch
yes,
variations depend is with along with the tonic syllable. It's called as a nuclear
yes,
tone.
yes. So both tonic syllable and the nuclear tone is connected with each other. Okay. So the choice of syllable on which the pitch change or movement change, that is what is called the tonic syllable. And when we use this tonic syllable in different speech variations, okay, when there will be variations in the pitch, that is what is called nuclear tone. Okay, that is depend upon how it actually varies from one speech to another. Okay, one pitches to another, how the frequencies differ from one another. Okay, it is completely depend upon the intonation system, that is from the vibration to the pitch to. Now see, there are so many functions. So I hope that you have understood, and if others haven't understood, I hope that Purnima's explanation gave you a good clarification about that. Okay. Now there are some functions of intonation. Okay. Now what are the functions? There are three functions are there. One is that grammatical function. Another one is attitudinal function, and the third one is uh, that is accentual function. Now what is the grammatical function? Grammatical function is what, like, okay, in when we will use our intonation in a particular speech or utterance, that means in a particular sentence, or maybe using all the tenses. Okay, so when we will have particular sentences, okay, in that sentences we can understand something, or we can also make someone understood about what I want to mean. Okay, or what we want to mean through our particular intonation, pitch variation. Okay, see here some examples has been given. Okay? Shut the door, and again in the second example it is also shut the door. Now these two sentences, or one sentence rather, can function in more than one way. One way is we can give a command to someone to shut the door, or we can also request someone to shut the door. Now, this that is what is the grammatical function. The function that talks about a particular sentence, a particular utterance that can form in more than one ways. Okay, in more than one grammatical function. It can also be a command, a request, and also can be a exclamatory word sentence as well. Okay, we can also use this particular sentence in exclamation. Okay, but for that, what we have to do, we have to use a particular word of exclamation. Okay, so if you will see here that shut the door and shut the door as request and command, you will say it. Okay, if you want someone to give you a comment, you will say it in a bold way. Okay, changing your pitch variation from low to high. Okay, like shut the door. If you want your servant or someone who is junior to you, or you want to do someone, okay, you will see, or you will pronounce it in a very from high to sorry from low to high voice. Okay, please shut the door. Okay, so you will not use here please. Okay, but if you are requesting someone, you can use please, otherwise you will say it very politely, shut the door, instead of saying shut the door. Okay. Or I will give you a very interesting example when we will talk about the rising, falling tone. Okay, falling, rising, rise, fall, all these tones. So let's see the next one, that is accentual function. Okay, now in accentual function, that is also quite similar. Okay, because in sentences there are many words which have the quality of becoming a content word, okay, instead of the functional word. So all these content words have their own particular stresses, own particular accents. But when you want to stress a particular word at your own to highlight that word, okay, you do that only to highlight that word, or you want to do that only to highlight that particular action that you want to do or want someone to do. Okay, in such cases, when you put extra forces on a particular word, that is what is the function of called accentual function. Okay, here some examples has been given, that they told me at the airport that the plane leaves at 9. Okay, so here the accent has been given on told, leaves, and 9. Okay, see in the example here it has been given that they told me at the airport that the plane leaves at 9. Now, the accent has been given only on the root words and content words, only to make you understand the key concept, or the telegraphic atmosphere has been created, giving certain stresses on the root words that can give you the complete meaning. Even though if you want word use the other words, it will be very easy to understand the content, okay, of that particular sentence, that someone told me about that the planes will leave at 9. Isn't that? It's very clear. Now, what is attitudinal? Attitudinal function is completely upon your attitude. Okay, it depends upon your attitude. How do you use particular tone, particular pitch, particular variations? Okay, so it is completely upon you. See here, 2 examples has been given, and these examples are very self-declarative. Okay, so if you see the example, when you come, when can you come, and when can you come? Okay, in one, your attitude is very rough, because the first sentence talks about your high pitch, okay, or high tone. Okay, so in your high tone, it shows that okay, you may be your anger, someone is someone has given you some promises that okay, he or she will come on a particular time, on particular day. But when the time has come, when the day has come, but the particular person is absent, at that time you may call him, or you may text him or her and say that, or you send a audio clip saying that okay, when can you come, in a very rude voice, okay, in a very rough voice. Okay, so that also shows your attitude. Okay, so that is what also the function of intonation. And if you are very eager to meet with someone, you are very you can say that okay, you want to meet with your relatives, your family, and others. So what you will say that okay, I am missing you. What I want to do is that I want to miss you. I miss you, and I want to meet with you. Okay, so long we haven't met. So what you will say, simply say that okay, when can you come? You will say in a polite voice. Okay, so that is what also the attitudinal function. Okay, now all these functions uh, has the essence of all the categories of intonations. Okay, based on all these functions, there are 3 or 4 types of intonation. Okay, now one is the uh, rising tone, another one is the falling tone, and the third one is falling, rising, and rising falling. So you can divide it as 4 types, and you can also divide it as 3 types. Okay, now can any one of you read what is falling tone in page number 126? I will give you a very suitable example to uh, understand what are these types of intonation. I will not use any one of the example from this book, but I will give a very clear explanation regarding the types, okay, how it actually varies from person to person, situation to situation, and also from the grammatical functions as well. So can anyone read it? Manjusa, can you read it? What is falling tone? Actually read the definitions only. What is falling tone, what is rising tone, and what is fall rise tone. Okay, Then I will give you an example. Anyone can do it. It is, irrespective of the name that I am pronunciating here. I hope Manjusa is not that. So Jinath, can you read it?
Certainly not. No, I didn't. I didn't. I didn't do it on purpose.
Okay. The following types
WH questions, which are matter of fact, intended to be neither polite or impolite.
Okay, thank you for your link, because here no definitions has been given about what is falling tone, what is rising tone. Okay, so based on the functions that we have talked about, one is grammatical function, another one is accentual function, and the third one is attitudinal function. So based on all these things, we can divide intonation into 3 categories. Over here, it has been categorized as 3. Okay, now when there will be a rising tone, okay, have you ever heard of the rhetorics like climax and anti-climax?
Yes,
Have
sir.
you heard of these 2 terms, climax and anti-climax? Okay. Now in climax, what happens is that we have a beginning, then this beginning will, go smoothly at a particular point of time, and that will be the peak of that story. And from that peak, what happened? There will be anti-climax. Okay, there will be some in movies. Okay, in movies, what happened? At the beginning, the movie will begin in a very smooth way. Okay, there will be cool relationship, there will be beautiful relationship between the families. There will be no, you can say that, fight, or there will be no such tensions at the beginning, and it will go smoothly. The hero and the heroine will meet together, they will fall in love, they will try to enjoy, and they will roam, singing songs and dancing from here and there, and ultimately they will be at the peak of their success. But what happens? There will be an enter of the villain. There will be some kind of tensions creating from one family to another. Maybe the family members will not be happy for this relationship, and then it will fall gradually. Okay, and the denouncement will be happen. Finally, they will show that there is a happy ending. Okay, after that. So now this climax and anticlimax, this is what happens in falling and rising tone as well. Okay, now if someone will say that, okay, I came, I saw, I conquered. Okay, now see here, someone came here, someone saw something, and he conquered. In terms of making or spreading someone's kingdom, if we will talk about the kings of the earlier time, so they used to do this kind of thing. So here, let me give you some examples. The rising tone. In the rising tone, there will be a rising voice, rising pitch. Okay. In the falling tone, the pitch will fall from the high to low. Okay, like the climax and anticlimax. And in the rising, falling, there will be an up down throughout the sentence. Okay. Now, if someone will ask you, okay, I hope that most of you are in some conjugal relationship, probably. I'm not sure, but maybe one of you or two of you are married. Okay, or take as an example that I'm married, even though I'm not married. So you can take this example. And if suppose I'm going to a particular office and there are some colleagues, and one colleague is asking me, okay, that how is your married life? Now, see, listen this example. This is a very, very interesting example. Okay, if you will understand it, you will understand the entire, types of intonation. If that colleague will ask me that, how is your marriage life going on? Are you happy? Now, at the time, if I will reply, see, my reply will tell you that, okay, what is the tone? Okay, is it falling tone? Is it rising tone? Is it any other connotation is there or not? Suppose if I instantly reply to that question. Yes. Okay. If I will say yes, that means it's a rising tone, isn't it? And I'm showing that, okay, I'm very happy being married. You got it? If that person will ask me that, are you happy in your married life? If I will say that yes, so then definitely I want to show him that, okay, I'm happy being married. Okay. But if you will say that, okay, yes, that shows your tone that, okay, yeah, you are married, but you are not happy at all. If you are saying, okay, that yes, but then this will show your rising and falling tone together. You are happy, but you are married, but you are not that much happy with that particular girl, maybe because you could have another choice. That could also happen. Okay. So this is how, if you will ask someone, okay, instead of marriage, okay, instead of this situation, if someone will ask you that, okay, are you happy pursuing masters from BR Ambedkar University? Okay. Are you happy? You have to give your answer yes, no questions. Okay, so you can check it for yourself. Okay, asking some questions and giving some answers. So that is how the falling tone and rising tone happens in intonation, and that shows us. Okay, even if you will remove the meaning of that particular words, okay, the tone will tell us so many things. Okay, so that is what the purpose of intonation. It functions in three levels, and these three functions actually help us to understand so many things. Sometimes the meanings of that particular words doesn't mean, okay, your voice, okay, your tonality, all these things actually matters at all. So this was all about intonation. I hope that you have understood the example that I have given over here. Okay. Was that easy to understand? So we have almost finished. I hope that 5 classes has been already taken, including this one, and 3 more classes remained. That will be, I think, in 14, 15, and 13, 14, and in 21 possibly. So in the next class, we will finish 4 units. Okay, 4 units together, 4 or 5 units, because from 11 to 15, the units are very easy. They are okay. So we will start them, and you can also do one thing is that you go through all the 4 units, that is 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, whatever you can do, you just go through the units, and we will talk about them in PPT once again. Okay, in PPT once again, I got to know about your strength. I just wanted to talk with you, even though you will be notified. Okay, once the schedule has already been made, once that meeting has already been done regarding your exams, you will be notified. Soon you will be notified. Okay, so you do not have to be worried. Just take part in the classes and study, thoroughly study. It will be easy for you to answer the questions whatever will be asked in your exam. So don't worry about that exam. Just focus on your study. Okay. So hope you have enjoyed the class. We will meet on next Saturday, uh, coming up with some new topics regarding words, what structure, how words functions. Okay, all these things. So hope you have enjoyed. If you have any query, you can write it down. We will discuss about it in the next class. Okay. So thank you for being part of the class. Thank you for being cooperative. Okay. Thank you. You can leave and join if you have any other class. Okay.
Thank you, sir.